Welcome in to another edition and one of the closing editions of the Fantasy Football Power Hour on the TN2M network of shows presented by the SBFFC. I am your host, Seth Burchett, or Phoenix Rocket on all social medias. Joined alongside my partners on Friday night, Mr. Chuck Ellis, and the commissioner, founder, president, and all of those good things of the Southern Bluegrass Fantasy Football Championship, Dr. Brian Harwood. Guys, how's it going tonight?
Happy New Year, fellas. I'm glad to be here.
It is a good New Year. I mean, it's first show of 2026. Won't be the last.
Boys, I just saw y'all last year, didn't I?
Did, yeah.
Yes, sir.
I was about to say.
That's the most popular. That was the most popular joke before we went on Christmas break. For those who don't know, I'm a teacher, and probably half the kids I had the day before we went to break, or the day that we went to break, I heard, "See you next year," and I think they all expected me to be like, "Well, what are you talking about?" I'm not. Listen, that joke's as old as time. I love it, but not when it's 100 kids with the same joke.
Well, you go back Monday
and Tuesday. Well, I go back Monday. Yes,
See,
Tuesday with kids.
That's the same thing with me. And I'm just trying to I'm just trying to get back in the swing of things. I'll tell you what, I've spent. I think most everybody in my SBFFC is paid now of all the side events. I think I've still got to do a dynasty league, and I got to do Derby City, but it's
listen, I got a serious talk about League Safe if we want to go ahead and start with that.
Well, so I won't lose my sponsorship tonight from
Well, here's my thing. Okay, I'm just going to give a quick serious talk. They provide a service. It's a good service. There's two problems I have. One, I don't want an email for every single payout that gets distributed. I probably have 93 emails over the last 4 days. And I tried to change it. I went to unsubscribe. I went to manage my email settings, and it just says page not found because I'm convinced that this is a conspiracy to just send all the emails as promotion from League Safe.
It very well could be.
I also don't like the way they do payouts. I'm just going to say that if you get a payout and you've distributed any money to like Fanball, for instance, you don't get one lump sum. They send you a bunch of little payments that they label as a refund. I'm not a big fan of that. Sorry. I'm
not a fan of it either. I'm not a fan of it either.
Like I said, they provide a service. It's a good service, especially when you're running an operation as big as yours, Dr. Harwood. But Chuck, I just don't like getting a bunch of emails like that.
Yeah, I agree. I used League Safe for a couple of years. I've kind of went away from it, and I just use all of the various different types of cash apps out there, Venmo, Zelle, things of that nature. And it seems to work fine.
Well, the thing about with League Safe, I don't control the refund and the all these little refunds you get. I've got nothing to do with that. I wish I could control. I wish I could.
Oh, this is not an indictment on you, Doctor.
No. I think it is. There's nothing I can do about that. However, what I do disagree too is like, I think there shouldn't be any fees taken out when you receive a payment. Now,
right,
with all those emails, see, I've learned that I can send one email every single winner, but it may take me several days to figure out what every person wants to do with that money. I've got some that say roll it over. I've got some that say pay me out. I've got some that say hold on to it. I've got some that wanted to pay out before I even started doing it. Now, I could do like the SBFFC. I literally had probably about almost 100 winners. Now I could send one email of every winner in one email, but that would take some time, a delay for people to get paid. That's what I don't like either. I wish they didn't have to send an email. They don't have to send an email out.
Well, I filed the ticket. I was being a Karen, and I voiced it was a strongly worded ticket, and I voiced my indiscretions. And there's people watching, all 4 people that are watching right now, or at least that's what it looks like there is in here, or that will watch. They're like, So just stop. Just shut up. But I can't. It's what I do. We've got a good show planned for you tonight. We have our champion of the SBFFC, the 2025 champion, Chris Irwin, who will join us tonight for in the second segment to talk about winning and that experience, because it's one I have not experienced, and I don't think anybody here has. And flash that comment up there. I agree. He gets all those emails. His name isn't on any of them. My name was only on one of them this year. But I digress. We've got. We're going to talk next year's first round. We're going to talk something I threw out there that I thought was genius, and I might like someone else might do it. But I want us to give our fantasy football resolutions for 2026 because I've got a big one. Because I've got a gripe. I've got a D&D for the foreseeable future, and if you've watched the show, you know who it is. But so I think we need to give our fantasy football resolutions for 2026 as well. More of a fun spin and something we can actually follow through with. Because listen. Dr. Harwood, I don't know if you're anything like me, but everybody, you see it all over. What's your New Year's resolution? What's your New Year's resolution? And by February, everyone has already abandoned ship. Usually it's, I'm going to lose a bunch of weight. And then, and that's admirable. And I hope you do. But generally speaking, it's usually by February, March, that resolution is gone and not talked about anymore. So I think fantasy football resolutions, however, are something we could probably stick to. So we'll give those as well. We'll talk some playoff contests. We can preview that as well. I know next week we're going to really focus on fantasy football playoff contests and whatever else happens to pop up. I don't know that there's many leagues that go to the last week of the year. You might, if you are in some leagues that are playing this week and you've got some start sit questions, we can certainly take that. But Chuck, it feels like pretty much every league in the regular season right now has wrapped up.
Yeah, I think so. I'd say at least 95, 99% of them are wrapped up. I think there's a few still going out there. I'm not a part of any of them. The playoffs were definitely different this year. You had guys that you depended on, like Jahmyr Gibbs during the regular season was running back 3, and I think in the playoffs for fantasy he was running back 27. And then you have a guy at the other end of the spectrum like Mike Wilson. First 10, 11 weeks he was wide receiver 37, I think, and during the playoffs he was wide receiver 3. So that's how quick. And just a couple weeks, things can change. So it makes fantasy exciting, especially if your playoffs is a total points based over the 3 weeks of the playoffs instead of just head to head. It definitely makes for a more exciting finish.
Yeah, and then you've got guys like Dr. Harwood. Chuck mentioned Jahmyr Gibbs, but along those same lines, a guy like Jonathan Taylor was not completely non-existent, but certainly wasn't putting up the numbers that drove people to the playoffs this year. Okay, great talk.
What's I'm sorry.
Are you with us, Dr. Harwood? Paging Dr. Harwood. Paging Dr. Harwood.
Okay, I thought I was waiting for Chuck to say something. My apologies. So are we basically with I don't do week 18 playoffs either, or week 18 matchups either. I know there was a buddy of mine that did a league a while back that he had week 17 and 18, the 2-week finals. And it seemed like it worked okay, but like the guy that got off to a big lead in week 1 kept it in week 2. That's I haven't really done much with week 18 fantasy finals. Now I do I'm still in the Survivor contest, and I got
does that continue this week?
This is the last week of the Survivor, and The pick'em also is the last week as well. So with my Survivor outlook, and it was a mid-season kind of thing. We started about week 6, and we're still going on. There's 9 of it still left out of 63. So I think that's a pretty good accomplishment. Now, guys, let's see. I'm gonna let y'all chime in here. I can pick the Vikings this week at home versus the Packers. Can also pick. Let's see. I got Lions. I can pick the Bears over Lions. That's a divisional game. It kind of scares me. The Eagles over Commanders. The Eagles are at home. I went with the Bills over the Jets. So those are my big four: Bills, Eagles.
So that's what you can pick from this week.
So I can pick Buccaneers. I can pick Vikings. I can pick. I can pick Eagles, and I can pick the Bears. No, the Bills, and the Bears too.
Oh man, that's tough. Let me pull up the standings here because that would, I think, affect. I would say I'm out on the Eagles just because I know they're going to rest a lot of their starters. I think that news came out earlier this week, so I probably would stay away from them. Let's see.
I probably would just go with the Bills over the Jets.
That's who I have currently.
Yeah, I would
lean into. Yeah,
I wouldn't change that. The Jets are atrocious,
and I don't think it matters who's playing quarterback for them.
Doesn't matter. They have nothing to play for. It wouldn't even be smart for them to win a game.
No, not at this point. They could be like the Browns and screw it up. As much as I love beating the Steelers, and I love beating the Steelers, I think they dropped 5 draft slots from that win. And they don't gain anything from it. That's kind of the problem with the end of the season is, you've got a team like the Raiders who shut down Cosby, and basically just was like, yeah, we just don't want to do real well, so we're shutting you down for the rest of the year. And I wouldn't be surprised if Genty doesn't play this week either. Or Bowers. I think you're looking at, and that brings me to Chuck and something we kind of discussed on our text thread, prop bets this week. I don't know if I'm just not really on prop bets this week. I think if you're somebody that wants to lay some money down on the sports book of your choice, I think you would be better suited to pick winners this week as opposed to trying to come up with props, because I think this week is, for most games, is so unpredictable. I just don't think there's a lot of security in a lot of these games and these props this week.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of games that have no meaning. You don't know if some teams are going to play a player a half, a quarter, not going to play him at all. I mean, if you get into some games that matter, like, the Carolina-Tampa game has a lot of implication. Even the Patriots, the Broncos, the Jaguars, all of those guys still have a chance at the number 1 seed. And then, of course, the Steelers and the Ravens game, those matter. If you want to pick guys, props from those games, that's probably the safer props to pick. But I wouldn't make a living trying to do props this week. I'd take a break.
Yeah, no, that I think this week Dr. Harwood, I think this is not the week for props unless you're, as Chuck said, picking from those games that there's real implications in, much like that Steelers and Ravens game.
I got one prop. Deshaun Robinson is 255 yards away from Chris Johnson's single season scrimmage yards record. Will the Falcons make an effort to get them there? He's he's been on fire with 25 touches lately. Now, yeah. I'm going to tell you something about Bijan. I was in 2 guillotine finals. And Seth, I'm going to introduce you to the guillotine format next year. You'll love it. You'll be nervous as hell every week, but you'll love it.
I already have anxiety, Dr. Harwood. I don't know if we need to add to it.
No, it's good anxiety because I had 2 leagues I could have won $1,000 on. Entering Monday night, I was up 11.3 on one of them, and I had Puka Nacua. My opponent had Bijan Robinson. The other one, It was the opposite. I was down 10.3.
And you had Bijan.
And I had Bijan, and my opponent had Puka. And that was it.
Let me
I
look
thought
at the prop currently.
I thought I was going to win with Puka and lose with Bijan. Turns out I win with Bijan, win another live guillotine title 3 out of 4 years at overtime. And we're going to have drinks starting us because we've won the league 3 out of 4 years. We may not make it out of overtime alive now.
The current prop for Robinson is 82.5.
Okay. Now let's look at 82.5. Now that's less than half we had Monday. Now, rush and receiving yards, 130 is minus 114. 140 plus 121. Let's say now that he gets that magic 255, which I don't think he'll get that far. I think it's too far fetched.
That's a lot, buddy. That is
Okay.
a lot to get. Yeah.
You know what that prop is? Plus 1740. Rush and receiving yards.
I don't know, man.
Bet 100 on that?
No, I wouldn't bet that. I wouldn't bet 100 on it. I just don't know that they want to, because you got to think, and I'm going to pull up David Tate's comment. He's got to contend some weeks with Algier, and Algier, as David Tate points out, could be a starter on most teams.
Now look at his next comment, though.
I will say this
comment.
I will say this: the Saints, and I know this is hard to come off of my lips, but the Saints are probably playing some of the best football they've played in a very long time. They're playing for pride right now, and they will probably want to win this game a lot more than Atlanta does. That seems like a setup bet, Dr. Harwood. I probably would stay clear.
Would I bet 120 or 130? That's like an even money line.
I would just stay away from it myself. Yeah. But
I wouldn't, but you know.
Like I said, I'm staying away from most props this week.
Yeah.
If I do any props, it's going to be from games where there's real implications, much like that Steelers and Ravens game. That is probably. I mean, is that the game with the biggest implication? I might look at Chicago and Green Bay as well.
Well, the Tampa-Carolina game is huge. The losers wins the division, or the winner wins the division. The loser goes home.
So there's another one for you.
Yeah. But if you want a prop bet that has a better chance, go something with Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry 2+ rushing touchdowns probably pays a little bit.
He's been on fire.
That's the type of prop I would probably use this week, but it's hard. This week's hard, and I've actually had a little bit of luck the last month with props.
Yes, you have.
I'm staying clear this week.
Well, next week when we do this playoffs, Chuck, I want you to talk about your parlay formula, because there's going to be a lot of parlay bets the next week with some of these degenerate SBFFC owners I have. Next week, Chuck's going to tell us his formula. And Mr. Jeff Mans, you might want to tune in. I've got the invite for you to tune in. I'm inviting you now, Jeff Mans. If you're out there combing your hair or something, tune in next week.
Well, right now, guys, we're going to take a break. We're going to pay some love to our sponsor over at Trophy Smack. When we come back, we're going to welcome the 2025 SBFFC champion, Chris Irwin, in. But before we do that, we're going to hear a word from our sponsors over at Trophy Smack. You are watching the Fantasy Football Power Hour presented by the SBFFC on the TN2M network of shows. That was Trophy Smack. Check them out at trophysmack.com for all of your fantasy championship needs. It doesn't have to be football, but that's certainly the time that we are in right now. And for all of your trophy needs, whether that be, or championship needs, whether it be trophies, belts, chains, pendants, helmets, whatever your prize is for winning your league, They've got it over there at Trophy Smack. Check them out, trophysmack.com. Tell them Dr. Harwood and the SBFFC sent you. Dr. Harwood, introduce our guest here.
Well, we speaking of Trophy Smack, he's going to be getting another one of our SBFFC trophies for in August for the SBFFC live events. This gentleman has he's originally from Orlando, Florida, now lives in Kentucky. He's a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. He even liked him before Tom Brady. He was a fan back in the Mike Allstott era. He's been playing fantasy football since 2009 with his Army buddies. Continued to play once he got out. So I didn't know he was a veteran. And now he commissions a League of Friends and have an in-person draft every year. He was turned on to the SBFFC by a friend of his, Joshua Broughton, and Adam Cole, who's been in the SBFFC for a while, and immediately he was all in. Can't wait to come back and play every year. And so we have the most dope crew. He is a car auto detail worker. He does his own business out of Brandenburg and Elizabethtown, Kentucky, Radcliffe, local guy. Always good to see a local guy somewhat win the SBFFC, because a lot of times people who win these fantasy football tournaments have a lot of teams like the Chad Schroeder's of the world that have multiple entries. This gentleman's got one entry. He had one shot like all of us. Christopher Earn, Most Dupe Crew, welcome to the SBFFC Power Hour.
Chris, welcome into the show. Thank you so much for joining us, taking some time out, and congratulations on accomplishing something that few of us have in winning the SBFFC. And I can say, at least from my standpoint, I'm jealous because I've not been to the top of the mountain. But welcome in, and congratulations on winning.
Thanks, fellas. Appreciate you for having me.
Congratulations, sir.
Well, let's talk about let's go back to the draft, because really that's where it all begins. And I've got your roster pulled up here, if I can get it to. There we go. So there's the roster. That was the winning roster from this past week. But talk us through, where did you draft from? Did you have strategies coming in? And what through the season worked for you and helped you be successful?
So this is a different draft scenario than what I'm used to because of the reverse snake.
So reversal. Was that your first time doing it?
That was my first time doing it. So when I showed up, we were looking kind of at all the draft boards, and the 12th spot kind of looked like the easiest spot to draft from. So that's where I kind of wanted to be at.
All right. And what was your first? Did you go Nakua and Derrick Henry, it looks like, probably?
I went, Nakua and either Henry or Con Williams. I can't remember. But I remember stacking the two from the Rams.
That's quite a nice stack there, especially getting – whether you got Henry Williams in the third round is still great value there. What was the biggest – is this your first year playing the SBFFC?
This is my first year.
Oh, first year, first-time champion. What was there, other than third-round reversal, was there anything that shocked you or stood out to you, or the environment? Like, what was your impression overall coming into this or before you got there, and what was it after?
The whole experience was awesome, first of all. I'm really excited to come back and do it again. All the people are really cool. Everyone's really into it. And just drafting with a bunch of people. There was old school people with paper and pen. There was people on tablets. It was all just a really cool experience with a bunch of people that know ball. So that was pretty cool.
Well, Chris, let me ask you this then. Now, I guarantee you this is probably the first time you've had to buy your draft spot with $1,000 FAV money.
It is.
Now, how much did that 12 spot cost? Did you wait a while to jump in and get it? Or were you aggressive and was like, hey, I'm going to get this 12 spot and set the tone for the, for the rest of the owners out there?
I think I paid like $420 for that spot.
$420.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the guy that drafted next to me. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. It's all good, brother.
The dude next to me knew. He said he wanted the first spot, so he went a little bit higher than me, and I was like, okay, he can have it. So he picked 1, and then I picked 12 right after him.
So you two set the tone for the rest of the table.
I guess so.
So
Go ahead, Dr. Harwood.
So, okay, so like I wonder, did spots 10 and 11, did they kind of follow suit, or was it more just like, I'm gonna get the spot, I'm gonna get it? Did they kind of follow your lead? Because you being a first year owner, you was the one that kind of led the dance, so to speak. Usually the rookies kind of blend in, and I was proud of you for taking that initiative to go with that 12th spot.
I knew I kind of really wanted that spot. I kind of had an idea of how I wanted to draft from there. So I knew that if I didn't get that spot, I was going to kind of throw my whole plan off. But it seemed like after the 1st and the 12th spot went, everyone kind of fell where they fell. And the spots were a little bit cheaper after that.
Yeah, it's typically how it works. I've noticed where it's the bookends go for quite a bit more, and then it kind of lowers as you go down. So talk with us about the playoffs. I'm guessing probably a different format than maybe you're used to. What was that like week to week? Knowing that you're in it, knowing that you're up at the top. Was there anxiety that went along with that? Were you checking scores? Were you looking at other people's rosters? Just talk us through, especially that last week, what that was like.
So it was pretty nerve-wracking, and I was texting Dr. Harwood quite a bit about how it all worked out because it was different than what I'm used to.
We became pretty good buddies over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. And it was cool. At first, I was like in 45th place the first week. So I was like, all right, well, maybe I can get up a little bit. And then if you can tell by my roster, I really believed in the Jaguars this year. So luckily, they kind of took me up to the top. And then I have Puka, and the person in second place had Puka as well, and also had Stafford. So I was kind of worried about him. And then Bijan Robinson had the game of his life. So I was kind of worried about him also. So it was pretty anxious to watch that.
Oh, well, Derrick Henry strapped you to his back that last week.
Yes, he did.
Boys, I'm going to tell you, D. Henry, I've followed him. He was on Tennessee Titans. I've watched him being a season ticket holder. D. Henry was the coup de grace, so to speak, of you jumping out and keeping that lead. You didn't lose that lead the whole day Sunday. I mean, once D. Henry had that Saturday night game, I was like, you got this.
I was hoping so.
What was that feeling after the final play and the clock winds down and you realize, hey, I've actually won this, and put a sizable chunk of money in your bank account? The SBFFC carries a $10,000 prize. What was that feeling like when you're like, oh my God, I've done it. Like I've won it. And I've got to say a significant accomplishment because I've been playing in this league for 15 years. And I think the highest finish I've ever had was 4th. And so to win it in your first year is a significant accomplishment. But what was that feeling like when you come to terms with it that, man, I won? What was that like?
It was unreal, man. I mean, it didn't even hit me till kind of the next day when Dr. Harwood texted me and he said, yeah, your payouts will be in a few days. And I'm like, I can't believe this is happening to me.
Well, and you'll be back next year. Obviously.
Are you impressed with how?
Say what?
Go ahead, Doc.
Let's see. I thought I had a problem with audio. My apologies. Yeah. Hey, Chris, you're stuck with me now. Your team's paid for next season. You're stuck now. You're in.
I was going to come back anyways.
You're one of us now.
You say it like we're a cult, Dr. Harwood. It's like you've become one of us.
Like Dutch Mantel said to Mike Tenay back in that Las Vegas interview about Jerry Lawler. He's one of them.
Right. Chris, I don't want to keep you too terribly long, but what would you say to people? Because it was your first time in the league, and I feel like it's not something you can fully explain to people. It's one of those you have to see it to believe it type things that what the event is. But what would you tell people that are thinking about joining or on the fence? Like, what would you tell them to encourage them to jump off the fence and join the SBFFC?
To do it, man. I mean, It's awesome. It's intimidating because it's a lot of people, but everyone's cool. It's kind of like a cool football hangout. You get to play fantasy football. You get to chill out with a lot of people, meet a bunch of new people, and then get to play for the biggest stage there is, kind of. So I would say if they're on the fence, just do it. I mean, I fell in love with it the first time I did it, and I'll never not come back.
Now, Chris, you got a friend of yours that wants to play too now.
I do, yep. And I think he's full in on it.
Well, yeah, after you win and you tell them how much you won, I would hope they would be in on it. Well,
yes, so that's what it's all about, man. You know, that's how the SBFFC sells. I mean, we're blessed that I don't have to have a large marketing campaign to get owners. It's people get owners in it, that people have success and people get people in there. You know, Seth, you've gotten many people over the years in it and they've stayed in. They're great people. So is Chuck. And now it looks like that Chris is going to get a friend or two of his in and just continue the tradition.
Well, I mean, it's word of mouth. It's been word of mouth for a long time. I mean, it started with 48 teams and now it's how many teams are there now?
It'll be 276 and it's going to remain that way.
276. So yeah, from 48 to 276. That's a pretty big jump there. But Chris, any final thoughts for us tonight? Again, we just want to say congratulations and enjoy the winnings and the joys of victory as well. And can't wait to see you next year and defend the championship.
For sure. Thank you all for having me on.
Hey,
well, Chris, I have one more question for you now. So when you say you got people on the fences, you just say just do it. And whenever you're going to be getting that trophy in front of the entire group, and then Seth White's going to take a picture of you. So the official photographer, Amanda.
I don't know that I like the wording of that.
What's that? The photographer?
Well, yeah, just the way it was worded was a little bit.
Well, let me.
There will be a picture taken with the trophy.
Okay, that's what I was trying to say. But that's but see, with Chris, I'm proud of you. You know, out of the Stewart Group 1 division, it's always good to have a regular guy like us win the SBFFC because it's single entry, and Chris is going to do wonders with this 10,000. Is this life-changing money for you?
It's something.
It's
more than I came with, that's for sure.
Well, Chris, again, want to thank you very much for joining us tonight and look forward to seeing you next year in the SBFFC to defend your championship.
Thanks, guys.
Chris,
all right, everybody.
I'm a friend.
All right, that was Chris Irwin, who was the champion of the 2025. I forgot what year it was. I've got to get myself in the habit of 2026 and 2025. I'll be signing stuff 2025 for the next month.
Brother, I've been signing 2024 still. So you're better off than me.
Doc, we need to get you some help for that.
But I'm still 24, man.
I didn't know it was his first year. I know we had some conversation through text, and I didn't realize it was his first year. But I mean, that's really cool, and to me, that's a huge selling point. And as our good friend Steven says, the first and second, were first time players in the SBFFC.
Yeah, I found that interesting. They're both first-time players. Of course, Flores won second place, Albert Flores, but he also had pick 12. So they both had pick 12. So it's interesting.
Also, Dustin Krugel, who was also first in the SBFFC, drafted out the 12th spot. He won the most overall points after week 12.
I mean, that feels like 12 was the place to go this year. And if you didn't mess it up with, say, a Nico Collins or a Brian Thomas Jr. or something like that, which Nico ended up being okay, but Brian Thomas, probably one of the biggest first-round busts this year.
Oh, God.
And while we're talking first round, I know this was on the docket. Next year, and I don't think it's too early to start talking about this, but next year, first round, what's it look like? I mean, who are the guys that are going in the first round? Who are the guys that are falling out of the first round from this year? Who are the names that pop out to you guys?
I tell you what's interesting, and you said it right there. Most guys at the end of the first round were going Nico Collins and Brian Thomas Jr. But if you look at a majority of the teams that had success this year, they loaded up on running backs early. I mean, there were guys that were able to get Christian McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor on the same team, and Jahmyr Gibbs and Devon Achane on the same team. And like us in the draft that we did, we got Chase Brown. We also got James Cook. So we had strong running backs as well. I think you're going to see running backs that went late, second, third round picks slide into the first round. How can you not draft James Cook in the first round when he was a late third round pick this year?
I think he was we got him in the fourth round in the draft.
We did.
So
I saw some fours too.
Well, yeah. that was probably steal of most drafts. If you got him in the fourth round, the production that you got out of him was one of the steals of the draft, maybe the steal of the draft. I think Javonte Williams, where you got him, would be a candidate for that as well.
Agreed.
But, I mean, you look at the teams that were really successful, they had good running backs. Yep. It wasn't a year for the zero running back strategy, and I sort of wonder moving forward, is that a strategy that you need to look at if you went from hey, I'm going to try to have a balanced team, or hey, because the thing about strategies is everybody's got one. And the people that win are the ones that had the right one that year. And so I sort of wonder next year if the trend becomes, let's load up on running backs early and worry about receiver later. And that might push really good receivers down. That might push a guy like Jamar Chase down. That might push even Puka Nacua. That might push some of those really, really good high-end receiver ones down the board. But just something to think about there. Let's take an early break. And when we come back, we'll talk about guys we think they're going to be. We'll come up with a list of 12 guys we think are going to be first-round picks. We'll also give our fantasy football resolutions for this next year, and then talk a little bit of playoffs, which next week will be all about playoffs. But we'll preview it a little bit if we have some time here at the end of the hour. Right now, we're going to take a break. We're going to hear a word from our sponsors over at Trophy Smack. You're watching the Fantasy Football Power Hour presented by the SBFFC on the TN2M network of shows. It was TrophySmack.com, or check them out at TrophySmack.com. Trophy Smack is your home for all your fantasy championship needs. Doesn't have to be football. It could be baseball, basketball, or whatever fantasy sport you play. You can get all of your championship hardware from Trophy Smack, whether it be trophies, belts, chains, pendants, helmets, and more. Check them out, TrophySmack.com, and tell them the SBFFC sent you. Also, let me go ahead and let's play this as well.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, August 22nd at the Carroll Nicely Conference Center in Bowling Green, Kentucky. The SBFFC returns, and we will be there, gentlemen, all three of us. So if you want an autograph, I will be paying people to take those from me there at the conference center, and I will sign it at Fantasy Football Power Hour for, all two of you that will take the $2 I'm willing to pay.
$2.
Yeah,
I was saying 10.
That's what I'm paying people to take my autograph.
Oh, you're paying? Okay, I got
you. I'm paying people to take the autograph.
That's generous. That's sweet.
I don't know that my name is worth the paper I'm going to put it on. So
it's like Al Bundy, Married with Children. Peg Bundy said to Kelly, Kelly, you forged Al Bundy's signature very well. Kelly, your Al Bundy is worth more than the check it's printed on.
So let's talk first round next year. I think there are some guys that I think are consensus first round picks next year. I think Jahmyr Gibbs. Let's go around the horn here. There's 3 of us. Let's each give 4 players. So let's go around the horn, and we will almost have our own first round
first round. Okay.
Our
First
own
round.
for 2026.
I'm gonna go third. Okay.
Okay. All right. Chuck, you want 1 or 2?
I'll go 1. That's fine.
All right. Let's go.
So for me, right out of the gate is Bijan. I think Bijan is 1. If somebody takes Jahmyr Gibbs, I wouldn't argue it. But I think from beginning to end, Bijan's been a little bit more consistent. And then Jahmyr Gibbs.
Well, hang on. Wait. Let's do it snake format.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going Bijan number 1.
I'm going Jahmyr Gibbs because I would argue Jahmyr is number 1, but I think the 2 are interchangeable. Dr. Harwood.
Okay. I'm gonna diversify and I'm gonna go Mr. Jackson Smith-Njigba 3. That's probably early, but either Robinson or Gibbs will be a bust next year.
We're not necessarily saying it's going to be at that spot. We're just saying these are guys we think are going to be in the first round, but we kind of are going in order, I guess.
I think Njigba will be the first wide receiver drafted.
Okay.
Unless, it might be some Puka lovers, but Njigba's third year play. He's on the rise, guys. He's on the rise, man.
You don't think with Jamar Chase having Burrow back and healthy that he doesn't return to that top receiver spot?
He very well could.
All right.
He's been there.
Chuck, back to you.
He kind of flew under the radar this year, but he was rock solid from beginning to end. I like Devon Achane.
Okay.
He gets a lot of catches out of the backfield. I like Achane.
Well, he's going to have a new quarterback next year.
Yep.
And I feel like that's going to help.
Agreed.
And, also got Achane. I got an autographed jersey for the raffle this year.
Well, I got the Achane jersey autograph from last year's raffle, and it's hanging up proudly in my classroom.
And I think Chuck Ells has one too, so maybe it's my turn to get one.
Well, I'm going to go with Jamar Chase. I think he's the best receiver in football, and I think with Burrow back, assuming he's healthy, coming into the season, I think there's no reason that if you're looking at receiver early, that he's a guy that you take.
All right, Chuck, go ahead.
No,
it's my turn. It's like spinning the wheel here. So let's go to Puka Nacua.
Okay.
Njigba.
All right.
Please
and if you're hopping down to me, I'm going to go old Amon Ra. The guy's rock solid.
Well, I'm gonna go with the guy that we've just talked about, and I'm going to say James Cook. James Cook is a guy that's played his way to the first round. There's no reason, I think, to wait on him. He's one of those guys that if he makes it to the second round and you're picking early second, like you're thinking you're lucky stars. But I don't know why he would make it down that far. So I'm going to go with James Cook. Doc.
And this won't be the last time you hear this, Seth. Man, he stole my pick. I'm gonna take McCaffrey. Man,
I love James Cook. I love him.
Yeah, I love Cook too. I agree with you there. And then McCaffrey, another guy, had a great year. And we'll just keep rolling with the running backs. Jonathan Taylor. Just keep on rolling.
Well, see, you took my pick there because I was going to go with Jonathan Taylor. Now it starts to get a little tricky in terms of who you think is going to be in that top upper echelon. But I think I'm going to be a little bit crazy here. Maybe it's not crazy, but I kind of think Kyron Williams is a guy you can consider at the end of the first round. I really do think he's a guy that has been productive. I don't think Blake Corum is a guy that worries me too much where he's concerned. Actually, can I take that back? Can I take it back?
Mm-hmm.
I forgot a guy.
There's a sticker on the board.
I forgot a guy.
I know where you're going.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm going to go receiver. And I forgot because I had him this year, and he was disappointing for the 3 weeks he didn't play. But I don't know why he didn't pop in my head immediately. Probably because he was out for 3 weeks and I was mad. But CeeDee Lamb, I think he's still a first rounder. Yeah. I 100% think he's still a first rounder and better than Kyron Williams. So I feel like I redeemed myself. I don't think Kyron is bad, but but he's probably in the first round, early second round. I think, unless something crazy changes there in LA. All right, Harwood, finish us off.
Okay, I've got two possible ones. I'm going to tell you two scenarios.
Okay.
Number one, I'm going to say Trey McBride, SBFFC scoring ended up with 302.4 fantasy points. You know who was second? Below 200. Second.
Brock Bowers.
Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
Listen, that is
number two.
That's a one. That's from like two or 3 weeks. Okay, they do not take Kyle Pitts in the first round. If you take Kyle Pitts in the first round, please be in my division.
Now, but you got McBride at 302, Pitts in 199. Do you take McBride at the end of the first to get that position scarcity? That's 100 points. That's about
it depends
7
on
points a week difference, buddy. It's like a touchdown difference.
Here's my answer to that. One, I never take a tight end in the first round, although I've done it in the past. But I think it depends on who is throwing him the ball. If it's not Jacoby Brissett and it is Kyler Murray again, I'm hands off McBride altogether. If they say, hey, Brissett's the guy, and I don't have any reason to believe they're going to do that, but I think it depends on who he is quarterback dependent. And I think the quarterback matters. If he has a new quarterback, depending on who that is, I think he's somebody you can consider. I think I like Brock Bowers more if he's healthy than Trey McBride because Brock Bowers gets more volume, just sheer targets. He gets a lot more, I think, than week to week. He's double-digit targets every week over Trey McBride. I think Trey McBride, we have a recency bias because the last 3 or 4 weeks of the season, he was great. And a lot of that had to do with who was throwing him the football. If Brock Bowers is healthy and he has a competent quarterback throwing him the football, I think he's the best tight end in football. But that's just my opinion.
Now, okay, let's change things up. Chuck, your league is 1.5 PPR premium. The FFPC, 1.5 point tight end PPR premium. Does that jump McBride up the board?
I mean, it definitely will because, again, a lot of people, and this is one of the things I talked about during one of my serious talks during the year, is names. You hear a name, it gets embedded in your head. There's a lot of things that can change that name, just like Joe and Jack said down here. McBride to have a new quarterback next year. You know, that plays a part. Will Bowers have a new quarterback next year? That plays.
I would say so.
Kyle Pitts, I'm pretty certain, is a free agent this year. I think David Tate said he's
he did.
A free agent. He's going somewhere else next year. So that all of that plays a role. You know, Warren from Indianapolis was on fire with Daniel Jones. You know, Daniel Jones comes back next year. Does that shoot Warren up the draft board some? Tight end positions volatile. It always has been. I agree with Seth. I can't take a tight end in the first round. I just can't do it.
I've only done it one time, and I wasn't terribly successful. It was Travis Kelce, and I had, you know, it ended up being an okay pick, but you know, I picked him at like 6 that year. It was 2 or 3 years ago. But I would rather wait on a guy like Harold Fannin, who I can get later, who is a volume guy. I mean, I think he has solidified himself, no matter what they do with the coaching situation, that he is probably the future tight end there. And they still have Njoku. Njoku feels like a guy that might get traded in the offseason. Harold Fannin ended up, you know, I would be curious what his stats were compared to in the last 3 weeks compared to the other tight ends. Like what tight end was he in the last 3 weeks? I don't have those numbers in front of me. And I'm not saying this because I'm a Browns fan, but he was literally the only decent offense they had. Like the only player that might have been in a starting lineup in the playoffs was a Browns player is Harold Fannin. I think that's it. Unless you were super flex and then maybe you have Shadur, but yeah, I think I can get some value at tight end a little bit later. I mean, you got Brenton Strange, who's going to be good next year. He's going to have a whole year where he's healthy and a second year in the Liam Cohen offense that likes the tight end. Liam Cohen's offense loves to get the tight end involved, especially stretching the field down the seam. So it's a guy that I like a lot next year is Brent Strange, and somebody that I might target in the 6th, 7th round, depending on how tight ends go.
Well,
I tell you,
Chuck, go ahead, man, and I'm gonna go ahead, man.
Yeah, I mean, if we're being honest, I think the dog in the yard at tight end, when he has his quarterback, is George Kittle. Kittle is got wide receiver skills, and he plays like a running back, which is why he misses a bunch of games every year. But with Brock Purdy and that Kyle Shanahan offense, he's a dog. I like Kittle.
Well, and let me say this. There's another take. I've been talking to Ron Studel, been talking to Matt Krantz about this. We picked quarterbacks this year that we thought were on the rise. Justin Herbert, Brock Purdy, JJ McCarthy, people like that. They were just bust. Trevor Lawrence, by the time they got good, it was either too late or we were out of the playoff run. Krantz is thinking he might take a quarterback earlier next year, like a Josh Allen. Will someone take Josh Allen in the first round?
No.
Because how they've gotten burned by these other quarterbacks before?
Well, yeah, but to counteract that, there were guys that were starting Drake May who was the second quarterback that team took. There are guys like that took Dak Prescott late as their first quarterback. Matt Stafford. So I think the value is better with quarterback if you wait a little bit. I'll let somebody take Lamar in the 3rd or 2nd or whenever he goes. I'll let people take Josh Allen, but I am going to try to find the value and maybe take 2 guys a little bit later that I can streamline and get more production somewhere else. Because so let me give a perfect example of this. Because the other thing that you don't know is if you take a quarterback high, you're probably not taking your second quarterback for a long time. And if you run into a situation where you have an injury, that's going to be problematic for you. And case in point, this past year in our Friday night league, my team was awful, just absolutely terrible. But part of the reason for that was I took Jamar Chase at number 2, and I took Joe Burrow in the 4th round. When Joe Burrow goes down, my second quarterback ended up being Brock Purdy, who also wasn't playing. So I basically didn't have a quarterback. If I take that, also worth noting that in that league, my best running back I took in the 3rd round was Kenneth Walker. That's who I took as RB1. It was a long year. My point of that is saying if I'd taken that 4th round pick and took, say, James Cook, that season looks a lot different. And so I think taking a quarterback early is basically saying one of my flex spots is going to suffer later. I can find a starting quarterback every week. There's always a starter on the free agency market that I can pick up and streamline if I need to. There's not a running back that I can start with confidence. There's not a wide receiver most of the time that I can pick up and start with confidence. There's always a quarterback I can take that has a favorable matchup.
Yes, and they're the easiest free agents to find.
Yeah, I would say them,
even in Superflex.
Mm-hmm.
I would say behind that tight end is probably the second easiest, just because you have starters out there. Now, how they do, it's matchup dependent a lot of times. Let's give our fantasy football resolutions for this year. I've got 2. If you all want me to go first, I can do that so you can collect your thoughts on it. Okay, my first fantasy football resolution. I will not in any way, shape, or form draft Ladd McConkey. He's dead to me. I don't care if he falls to me at the last pick. I will not draft that bum anymore. He cost me $500. All right. And he doesn't care. He's not losing sleep over it. But doggone it, I'm on a teacher's salary, and $500 is a lot of money. So you will never, ever see me draft Ladd McConkey next year. If you see me draft Ladd McConkey, I have had one too many. Please slap me. So that's the first one. I'm a little worked up over that. I've been holding that in for a few weeks.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. I feel your pain. This has me with Steve Smith. It happened to me with several other wide receivers. Why is it that the wide receivers always cost money? The running backs always do their job. It seems like it.
Most of the time, unless you drafted Kenneth Walker.
I got a comment to say about that here in a second too. It's
my second one, and this one I think will be a lot harder for me to go through with, but this is also kind of a serious talk, a little bit as well, moving into next year. My goal, my resolution is to drown out the noise that I hear before drafts about guys and cause me to lose out on productive talent because I read a report that they're in a contract dispute or something along those lines. And the name that comes to my mind because of this is James Cook. James Cook was a guy that I avoided in drafts because I heard, well, he might not even play. He's in a contract dispute. And even if he plays, how good is he going to be? So drowning out that noise that you hear early on, because you can find all sorts of trash online, and take production. Quit talking myself in and out of guys. Quit talking myself into bad picks and just take production. I mean, it's simple as that. I passed on guys that were very productive because, well, their quarterback's not any good. There's a contract dispute. The guys like, Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think a lot of people looked at him and said, well, yeah, but Sam Darnold's throwing him the ball. How good is he really? And he turned out to be great. And by the same token, I'd still draft Justin Jefferson. I mean, I would. Now, I wouldn't take him, in the mid-first round, but if he's there in the second round, absolutely I'm going to take that because he's productive. He's been productive. And I have to imagine they're going to figure that out in the offseason at some point. So take production, take proven guys, and quit worrying about what I read online because that's gotten me in trouble more than it's helped me. And so that is my second fantasy football resolution. So those are my two. I'm not telling y'all you have to, but at least one. So who wants to jump in?
Go ahead, Chuck, and then when you're ready, buddy.
Well, for me, and I'm guilty of this because, we all see a name on the back of the jersey and you always think and you always know there's hope for this guy. But with that being said, my resolution next year is I am not drafting players that are on bad offenses. I don't care who the player is. I don't care what he did last year. I'm not drafting guys on bad offenses anymore because they might have a game here or a game there, but when it counts and you need it, they're not going to show up. And then my next resolution kind of touches what Seth was saying, and it was one of my serious talks this year. Guys, every one of us in this podcast has been playing fantasy football for at least 5 years, I would say. I've been playing for almost 26 years now. We know what we're doing. It's great to hear these shows on Sirius with the experts. And, just like Seth was saying, people get hung up on rookies early on because that's what we hear. That's what's shoved in our face in April. And everybody jumps on these rookies. And the kid in Dallas was supposed to be the next greatest thing since sliced bread. But you know what? Javonte Williams brought his lunchbox to work every day, and he kicked ass in that offense. And that kid never even got on the field. So temper your expectations on rookies. The NFL is a business. These rookies got to earn their way on the field. So I will never get caught up in the hype of these rookies again. Of course, you're going to find one here and there. But more likely than not, a rookie is going to break your heart. So draft carefully with rookies. And those are my resolutions.
That kind of made me believe because I drafted Ashton Jeanty in the end of the first round in the SBFFC main event. And that kind of falls along temper rookie expectations. I think I may fall into the rookie Kool-Aid Woodford Reserve Buffalo Trace more than I should. Okay. I'm going to piggyback off Chuck on that. And then I know the first resolution I got is like, when there's a running back battle between two guys you think that are equal, I may stay away from that whole situation. My buddy David Tate, my buddy Edward Bradley, Rad Poison, He texted me if I could figure out the Seattle backfield of Walker versus Charbonnet, I'd have the cure for cancer in a month. I don't think I picked that right one time all year. This is Radpoise, who's won some good money this season. And so that I want to run it back. That's a for sure thing, because I've learned that running backups peter out by the end of the season. No free agent pickups left, and then so you're going to pick up Audric Estime and the Dylan Sampsons of the world, and and you're just running backs that come in temporarily and they don't produce like these star guys do. And then that's a resolution I have is I want a surefire running back who is the man in that backfield. If it's a committee, sorry, not interested. I may pick him in a couple of leagues because of diversity, but I'm gonna try to stay away from that. And number two, I'm gonna go back to some of my roots in the fantasy for 2026. I want the SBFFC to do more online leagues, kind of expand in that global situation, kind of keep the talent of bodies coming. Get some more exposure to these online drafts. Some of the online public leagues I did, the payouts were 70-75%. I mean, I like to pride myself on about 85, and I think that's and then I think my SBFFC online leagues, like the satellites and the season passes, a lot of fun, and there's more ways to win. One league I was 15-0 in the regular season, didn't win a dime because it didn't have a regular season prize. It was all first, second, third in the tournament. So I lost the first week of the playoffs in 1/3. So, like, me and Chuck did the FFPC main event. Chuck went to Vegas. I think next year, Chuck and I discussed about doing the main event draft at his house while he and I are together, get back more to the roots of doing things and kind of getting to know my owners a little bit better. I'd like to get to know some of my owners a little bit better. Like Chris for tonight, that's the first time I recognize his face. And that's an SBFFC World Champion. That's something I've got to do a better job on, is getting to know the owners better. And whether it be Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, whatever, I've got to do a better job myself of making sure these owners are content, they're happy, they're having a good time, and all that. So that's going to be my resolution, is I've got to do a better job of making sure these owners are happy and content.
Well, I just want to add one thing to Chuck's point about rookies, or was it Harwood? Somebody was talking about.
Chuck was about the rookies, and then I chimed in with GT.
Yeah, okay. So I tell you, one of the biggest mistakes I made this year was I bought into some hype on Caleb Johnson and took him woefully high. I mean, way too high. And everybody's like, what? I'm like, listen, he's going to be the guy. No, I don't think he scored 50 points all year. And I ended up holding on to him as long as I could make myself, but out of pride, and then dropped him. But that's going to do it for us this week. Next week, we're going to talk playoff contests and playoff fantasy football. And that will probably be it for us until like basketball season. I think we'll do an NCAA tournament show. But the week-to-week shows, I think, are wrapping up here, and there'll be some specials before we fire it up for next football season.
Also, we're gonna have one more guest, Michael Quinzel. He won the Woo Fantasy Live Draft.
Okay,
Fantasy Meatball.
We'll have him on next week and talk about that.
He's our number two champion.
All right.
Events.
Well,
real nice guy.
Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. We'll be back next week at 8:00, same time, same place. For Chuck, for Dr. Harwood, I'm Seth Burchett, and you've been watching the Fantasy Football Power Hour presented by the SBFFC on the TN2M network of shows. We'll be back next week, so get ready, buckle up. Playoffs are coming here, and we'll have all of that and more as we roll on. For everybody, we're saying good night and good luck.